Hey book lovers, Kaylee here, and welcome back to the Enchanted Library, and today we're going to do a book haul. These are going to be books, a mixture of which I was given and also some that I've purchased over the last couple of months. So, like everybody seems to say on here, let's get into this. The first 4 books that I'm going to talk about were actually gifted to me when I went to a HarperCollins Canada event at the start of April. The first book actually releases in August this year, and that is Heretics Anonymous by Katie Henry. Now, this book follows a boy who ends up having to go to a Catholic school, and he is actually an atheist. So he ends up really not buying into anything that the teachers are saying about God and a higher power, and he's just having difficulty finding his niche of people until in one of his classes he actually gets intrigued by a girl who starts questioning a lot of what the teacher says, so he's thinking he might have a bit of an ally. Turns out she actually wants to be a priest, and she introduces him to her group of friends called Heretics Anonymous. And through meeting these people, he ends up wanting to actually uncover a lot of what's going on behind the scenes within the school, and a little bit of hijinks ensue, and he ends up possibly going a little too far. So this is actually one I'm very excited to read because I have attended Catholic schools since I was a child. Every type of school you can imagine, I've gone to Catholic school. So this is going to be kind of funny to see how Katie Henry sort of paints the colors of what a Catholic school is like and what it is to sort of question what you're being taught. So I feel like this is just going to be a very funny read and that I will be able to relate to. The next book comes out this month, and that is Questions I Want to Ask You by Michelle Folkoff. This one is about a boy who is super happy with where he's at in life. He has a couple of things set up after school that he is so okay with. It's not the greatest goals, but he's sort of comfortable with where he's at. But then on his 18th birthday, he receives a letter from a relative that he never really knew, and that is going to open up his world to a whole lot more possibilities and questions, and basically just rethinking his future and what he wants for himself. This is going to be, I think, more of a heavier contemporary, and I'm excited to read this. I think it is definitely more of a summery read, so I think I'm going to be saving this for summer. The next book comes out in June, and I've already read it because I was so intrigued by the premise I couldn't not read it first, and that is The Bird and the Blade by Megan Bannon. Now, this book, when I was at the HarperCollins event, they described it as a historical fiction that reads like a fantasy, and I totally agree with that. This is set in the 13th century, which is a totally different time period than what I am used to, and it follows loosely around the story of the opera Turandot, and it's just, oh, it's so... I really recommend this one. I might do a book talk on this one soon, like before it comes out fully, so then that way you guys can be ready for it. But it's basically a girl who ends up being enslaved to a prince, and I don't want to say much more than that because I don't want to spoil it. There's some twists and turns that happen, and it's just, it ripped out my heart. So I highly, highly recommend reading The Bird and the Blade. And the last book that I received at the HarperCollins event was actually a new release at the time, so this book is already out in shelves, and that is Here So Far Away by Hadley Dyer. Now, this book is a contemporary, and it takes place in the Maritimes, which I thought was really, really cool, and that is actually where the author is from. It follows a girl who is in her senior year of high school. She's happy with where she's at, much like Questions I Want to Ask You, but in her senior year, everything sort of starts to fall apart. She has an argument with her best friend, she gets into a fight, and she's basically secluded from her regular social circle, and all she wants to do is just get out of Dodge. She wants to do college, she wants to take college away from the Maritimes, she wants to leave, but then her father gets injured on the job and she might end up having to stay longer than what she had intended, and in that time she starts to fall in love. And the risque thing here is that he is an older man. So there is a lot that can sort of go wrong and go right in this story. And again, I would say this is sort of a beachy read, so I might be saving this one still for summer, but it is out on shelves already, and that is Here So Far Away. The next book I picked up is actually more of a business book because I am sort of in the starting stages of starting my own business, so I'm sort of learning a lot right now. And one of the books that stood out to me was Girl Code, and that is by Cara Alwill-Leyba. I think that's how you pronounce it. But it's unlocking the secrets to success, sanity, and happiness for the female entrepreneur. And I just think that this is going to be a very good read. I like reading books that also help me develop as a person and teach me. So every so often I will pick up a business book or a lifestyle book or just like a health book, so then that way I can recharge my batteries. And this one just seems like a fun take on being a female entrepreneur and just empowering yourself. As a female creative person trying to start her own business, I don't think you can get enough books to help you with that, because it's a whole different ballgame for women. And if you're trying to start something new, something that like a very minuscule amount of people have tried, then I think just educating yourself is the best way to go. And that is why I am trying to just get as many books as possible to help me out with this. Like I've already picked up The Lean Startup and a few other books, but I think this one, because it's catered to women specifically, I couldn't not get this. And then back onto our regularly scheduled books. The next one I picked up actually really just caught my eye when I was in the store, because for whatever reason they had a whole shelf of this entire series and I had never seen it before, and I got intrigued. So I picked it up off of the shelves and saw that it had a blurb on it from one of my favorite authors, and I couldn't not be intrigued. And that series is by Michelle Segarra, and it is the Chronicles of Elantra series, and the first book is Cast in Shadow. Now, I didn't really know much of what this is about until, well, I really didn't know what this was about. And then I just saw on here, and pretty much on all the books I think, it had a blurb from Kelly Armstrong, so I couldn't not get it. And I don't fully know how to describe it, so I'm just going to read a quick bit from the back. Let's see. Something is stirring again. 7 years ago, Kaylin fled the crime-riddled streets of Nightshade knowing that something was after her. Children were being murdered, and they all had the same odd markings that mysteriously appeared on her own skin. And then it says a fair bit more, but I don't want to know too much going into this series. I kind of just want to read it blind, and I'm excited to do that because it's not often that that gets to happen anymore. So this is the start of a really long series, and I've been looking for a new fantasy series, so I am excited to start this, and I hope that it's really good. And the last book that I picked up is a YA sci-fi. I just about said Wi-Fi. And that is Heart of Iron by Ashley Poston. And the reason that I picked this one up, it's been on my radar for a little while now because it's described as Anastasia in space. And anybody that knows me, I feel like, knows my deep love for the movie Anastasia. And I think I like it almost. It's really close. Like Beauty and the Beast and Anastasia are very close to some of my favorite like cartoon animated movies, and yeah, it's so close. And so when I heard that this one was taking that premise and putting it in space, I got really excited. I'm not as often excited for like a Beauty and the Beast retelling because I don't want anybody to touch that. That is precious to me, but I don't really see a lot of Anastasia type stuff, so I was really intrigued to pick this up, and being set in space and me wanting to get more into sci-fi, I couldn't not get this one as well. So those are the books that I picked up most recently. Let me know in the comments below if you have read any of those, or if any of those seem interesting to you, like if you've added them now to your own shelves. And if you've read that series by Michelle Segarra, please comment down below as well, because I'm interested to know if it's like really good and if I should really devote myself to it. Because it's, like I said, I'm completely blind going into it. And as always, be sure to like this video and share it with your friends. Subscribe to my channel because I do put out new videos every weekend, as well as some bonus videos. So be sure to click that bell icon so then that way you do not miss any of my videos. But Saturdays, always, you will have a new one from me. And I guess until next time, keep reading. Booyah.